Recording. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the class Buddhism 305, Buddhism in East Asia. Today's date is June 5th, 2023. Our last session in the sense next week we will be having the final exam. So one before the last, okay? I hope everyone is doing great. And so in this class now we have covered a lot of area in East Asian Buddhism, introduction and the influence of Buddhism in these cultures. So last week we were, week before last we were discussing about Japanese contribution. And then today, I thought we should be paying attention to Korea. Korea, again, is one of the important countries in East Asia. Of course, right now it's one of the strong nations, even though it is divided into North and South. North Korea, of course, we do not have enough information, but still, since we are talking about Buddhism in Korea, in North Korea also still they have Buddhism, even though the government does not allow so much of practice of religion. That's what we heard. That's what we hear from the media. We do not know the real situation. Anyhow, so the important question to important area that we have to pay attention is when did Korea receive Buddhism? Usually historians and the scholars they say Buddhism received Korea received Buddhism in the 4th century, the latter part of the 4th century. 372 CE, around that time. From where? From China. So China became the country who helped, Chinese monks helped to spread Buddhism towards Korea. Some Chinese monks visited Korea and then started, teaching about Buddhism and practicing over there. So that is in the 4th century, the latter part of the 4th century. And that during that time, Korea was three kingdoms period. It's called 3 dynasties or 3 kingdoms period. Korea was divided into a kind of 3 kingdoms, 3 states or something like that. And this is the period that Buddhism flourished in Korean history. So with the introduction of Buddhism, we saw that in other countries too, Buddhism reached the aristocratic class. Aristocratic class means the higher rank of the society, royal. So that patronage was very important. When the higher rank people accept something, the lower people, the general public, usually tend to follow. So that happened in China and in Japan and in Korea also. Korea, it's very powerfully present that when the aristocratic people accepted Buddhism as a way of life or as a good philosophy, and then general public follows suit. So before Buddhism was introduced into Korea, the traditional native belief existing over there was called shamanism. Shamanism is belief in certain deities and gods and spirits. So what happened was when Buddhism was introduced, that is one of the great qualities of Buddhism, as I have been telling in many places, in many of instances in this class too, that Buddhism has the capacity to assimilate into the existing pattern, existing system, existing customs or whatever. So in Korea also that beautifully happened, that the existing beliefs and rituals and other things, Buddhism was incorporated with them. Even today, if you happen to visit to Korean monastery or Korean temple, Korean shrine, you see Buddha image along with some other deities, some other native or indigenous deities or gods. That in the same shrine room, you see these things. So that is coexistence, you know, harmoniously existing together. In Korea, you see this aspect as well as in other East Asian countries too. Confucianism in Korea, of course, in the maybe 11th, 12th, perhaps 13th century, that time when the revival of Confucianism, with the revival of Confucianism, Buddhism had a big blow. Buddhism was restricted in some parts of Korea, and a lot of harassment went on because of the Confucius followers. The state actually did not support. But, you know, after the introduction of Buddhism into Korea, like after 1.5 centuries later, Buddhism became a powerful force in that culture. Even the state, the kingdoms, the kings, they accepted Buddhism as the state religion. So that's something important. Within 150 years, Buddhism was able to reach that status called recognized religion of the state, recognized religion of the kingdom. That was important thing. So somehow later on, Buddhism underwent certain changes in Korea. So the type of Buddhism that Korea received was Mahayana Buddhism. And you know, if you look at the many schools in Korean Buddhism, then we have to do a little research on that thing. Among many schools, the powerful one is called Zon. Zon is Zen. In Japan, we saw Zen, and in China, we saw Chan. So that school became popular. And there are also some other schools, some like esoteric teachings like Vajrayana or Tantrayana teachings were there, and so it has many different schools based on those things. And the other important thing is that just like in Japan, you find married monks. Marriage celibacy was not that. Most of the schools they follow it, but some schools they don't take that into. They don't care that so much, so they sort of became lenient on that aspect, and they were able to marry. Many Choge order, Jingak order, Won Buddhism, all those schools, okay, new schools also. And the revival of Buddhism in Korea happened after the Second World War, but now the country is not totally Buddhist, but little less than 50% of the population, I think they are Buddhist, little less than 50%. Maybe I'm wrong because I don't have these statistics with me, but my intention is like, my belief is so that it is below 50%. And then art and architecture, Buddhist art and architecture was really, really influenced by the Buddhist other countries' Buddhist influence. Beautiful monasteries, temples, very rich in architectural things and sculptures and many things. Beautiful Buddha statues and the art of creating these things. Koreans, of course, made a big contribution towards the development of Buddhism. And the most important thing is that they were able to, write down in the sense they carved the Tripitaka, 3 baskets, already. Tripitaka, they printed them in wood blocks. That is the world's gigantic first ever thing, writing down, I'm using the word writing down Tripitaka on wood blocks, printing them on wood blocks. That has been still there. I mean, it's still existing there, and it is named a world treasure. So that's one of the biggest contributions that that Koreans did to Buddhism, which is very important one. And then Korean monks and nuns and also beautiful monasteries, very large, huge monasteries, and different practices, meditation. And Buddhism is, lay influence, lay people joining Buddhist for Buddhist activities and developing Buddhism in that country is prevalent more than other countries. So in this way, Buddhism is a driving force in their culture. Their thinking pattern, their lifestyle is influenced by Buddhist teachings, Buddhist practices, rites and rituals, and their nature. I mean, their life pattern influenced by Buddhism. You can see still non-violence and things like that. So in that way, Korea is also one of the very important countries, important cultures who contributed immensely for the upkeep of Buddhist culture. Okay, I think with that I wind up, and for you to widen your the horizons of your knowledge on Korean Buddhism, I invite you to do little research online. Many information is there, so please do that, and you will get your homework assignment. And don't forget that next week is our last session, which is the final examination and the review. Okay, so get ready for the finals, and good luck with all your efforts. Thank you very much.